Okay, let's dive right into this explainer, because today we are looking at an absolute masterclass in muscle building. We're sourcing this directly from a recent breakdown featuring none other than six-time Mr. Olympia Chris Bumstead. We're going to count down his absolute top 10 essential exercises for building muscle. We're talking about the specific movements, the biomechanics, and the precise, dialed-in techniques a reigning champion uses to sculpt an elite physique.
But before we jump into number 10, I want you to keep this question bubbling in the back of your mind as we count down. What is the ultimate lift? Because I guarantee you the final exercise that claims that number 1 spot is going to completely surprise you. It's a movement you really might not expect to be crowned the absolute king of hypertrophy, but according to Bumstead, we all need it.
All right, Section 1, building that iconic X-frame right from the ground up. Starting off at number 10, we've got the standing calf raise. Look, a lot of people completely overcomplicate calf training, but Bumstead keeps it remarkably straightforward. The real game changer here is to lock your knees and flex your glutes. Why? Well, doing that stops any unwanted hip or knee flexion, which perfectly isolates the calf muscle. Plus, he argues that training it through the longest possible range of motion, stretching all the way down and pushing all the way to the top, is generally just the best way to train it.
Moving right along to number 9, we have the dumbbell seated shoulder press. Now, you might be wondering why a Mr. Olympia prefers dumbbells over, say, cables or a Smith machine. It all comes down to joint health. Bumstead points out that as you get older, leaning into a fixed machine path can actually lock you into shoulder pain for life, which nobody wants. Dumbbells just allow for the best natural range of motion. The crucial technique here is dropping your shoulders down, retracting your scapula, and making sure your joints stay stacked. That way, the dumbbells move straight up and down rather than drifting forward or backward.
So, with the calves and shoulders locked in, we've basically established the outer points of that X-frame. Now, let's step into our next phase and see exactly how a champion builds a massive, three-dimensional torso.
Section 2. Thick back and biceps, all without widening your waistline.
Number 8 is the chest-supported row, and man, this is such a brilliant pick. Here's why. Bumstead deliberately chooses a chest-supported variation to completely take the core out of the movement. He notes that legends like Jay Cutler found that doing heavy, unsupported dumbbell rows actually built their waist to be wider. By removing that core stabilization aspect, you're helping maintain a really tight, snatched waist. To execute this perfectly, you want scapular protraction, meaning a massive stretch at the bottom of the lift, and then you tuck your elbows and drive them straight back. Just imagine a string of pulling them backward to build out that thick upper back.
Coming in at number 7 is the incline dumbbell curl, which you can perform anywhere from a 35 to 90-degree angle. This exercise is literally all about mobility and chasing that deep stretch. By holding the stretch for a half second at the very bottom with your shoulders extended behind you, you are highly isolating the bicep. Bumstead actually notes this is a pretty great test of shoulder mobility since a lot of lifters can't even comfortably get their arms into that deep behind the body starting position in the first place.
Okay, that brings us through the first 4 exercises of our explainer. We've hit calves, shoulders, back, and biceps. But grab some water because we are about to hit the heavy, grueling leg movements and some really intense arm isolation.
Section 3. Squats and stretching triceps to build a massive foundation. For lift number 6, the decline dumbbell skull crusher, the setup involves lying on a decline bench and constantly fighting gravity to pull the weight backwards, giving the tricep an insanely deep stretch. But the real lesson here is about failure. Actually, scratch that. It's about technical failure. Bumstead explains that he doesn't train every single set until he literally drops. If his goal for the day is just technical failure, he smartly stops the set the exact second his form begins to break down. No quarter reps, no risking the joints, just to absolutely annihilate the muscle.
Real quick, as a mind-blowing pattern interrupt, building the muscle for these heavy lifts requires an incredible amount of fuel. To put this into perspective, during a bulk, Bumstead is putting away 6,000 calories and roughly 300 grams of protein every single day. Contrast that with his Brutum Prep diet, where he once had to survive on 370 grams of protein but only 100 grams of carbs. It's just a staggering reminder of the sheer nutritional engine required to power these 10 essential lifts.
Moving to number 5, we've got the legendary barbell back squat. And this brilliantly illustrates a major issue you see in the gym all the time today. Bumstead notes that people who avoid free weight squats and only use leg machines often develop restricted mobility and terrible posture. He jokingly refers to it as ILS, or invisible lat syndrome, where you're walking around all hunched over and stiff. To perform the squat optimally,
Bumstead actually prefers to do them barefoot. That allows you to spread your toes, activate your foot, and create a natural arch through slight external rotation, which is incredibly protective for your knees.
Landing at number 4 is the lying hamstring curl. Bumstead shares a great pro tip here. Try placing a small yoga pad under your quads to slightly lift your knees off the machine. It creates an even deeper stretch at the bottom of the movement. And you know, when he's asked what the perfect lifting tempo is for this, or really any exercise, his golden rule is hilariously simple. It depends. It entirely depends on your specific training goals for that day, whether you're going for raw power, time under tension, or just chasing a massive pump.
All right, we are officially entering the top 3 exercises of this explainer. The legs and arms are thoroughly covered, and now upper body power is taking center stage.
Section 4. Upper body power moves for posture and, honestly, longevity in the sport.
Number 3 is a bit of a shocker. It's the supinated pull-up, essentially a chin-up. Bumstead highly recommends this for a very modern, relatable reason. Think about it. We all spend our days sitting hunched over, staring at our phones with our shoulders rolled forward. Well, the supinated pull-up is the perfect antidote. It forces you into a fully extended, overhead stretch that perfectly reverses that terrible daily phone posture, opening up the back and shoulders while building serious lat and bicep mass.
That number 2 is the incline dumbbell press, done at a surprisingly steep 45-degree angle. Now, the absolute non-negotiable form cue here is to tuck your elbows and retract your scapula. Bumstead learned this the hard way, you guys, after tearing his shoulder and actually requiring surgery. He notes that a lot of bodybuilders end up older and unable to even lift their arms above their heads because they got stuck in bad ranges of motion with their elbows completely flared out. Tucking those elbows gives you a deeper stretch in the upper chest and basically guarantees shoulder longevity.
Okay, the suspense is real. We've gone through 9 meticulously chosen exercises designed to build an Olympia-caliber physique. It is finally time to reveal the absolute king of muscle-building exercises.
Section 5. The number 1 lift, the ultimate mass builder.
The number 1 muscle-building exercise in the world is the conventional deadlift. And Bumstead has a very strong opinion here, hilariously pitting it against the sumo deadlift. He definitively states that pulling sumo is straight-up cheating. He jokes that doing sumo might make you feel strong for a second, but ultimately it just increases your insecurities. Conventional is the only way to go. But why does the conventional deadlift take the absolute crown? Well, because, as Bumstead puts it, it's the single best movement to pack on overall mass. Its ability to simultaneously build your legs, thicken your entire back, and absolutely skyrocket your central nervous system strength simply has the highest carryover to literally every other lift you perform in the gym. For execution, he recommends using a double overhand grip until your grip starts to fail, and then switching over to lifting straps to finish the job.
So here is the whole shebang, your master list. Go ahead and take a screenshot if you need to. These are the 10 essential exercises you technically need to build a legendary physique, from the calves all the way up to the shoulders, finishing with the raw power of the deadlift. But remember, this list only works its magic if your form, your range of motion, and your focus on joint longevity are perfectly dialed in.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. With these powerful biomechanical cues and Mr. Olympia-level insights fresh in your mind, from tucked elbows to barefoot squats, which of these 10 essential lifts are you going to tackle differently the next time you step into the gym? Think about it, plan your next session, and keep pushing for that perfect form. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.